Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's LinkedIn Live, what most job seekers still get wrong about LinkedIn and how to fix it. My name is Jessica Hernandez. I'm an 8-time certified career coach and job search strategist, and have been a LinkedIn top voice for the last 6 years. And if you've been around me for any amount of time, you know that it's one of my greatest passions to share with job seekers how they can better leverage LinkedIn in their job search to land their next job. I've been teaching about LinkedIn job search strategies for the last 15 years. And for the last 6 years, I've run the LinkedIn Unlocked course, which is the most popular and best-selling LinkedIn job search course specifically for job seekers. And so today, what I am hoping to do is share with you a couple of the mistakes that I see job seekers making when it comes to using LinkedIn in their job search. And then I'm going to give you several strategies for how to better leverage LinkedIn in your job search so that you can get the kind of results that you're looking for in your job search and hopefully shorten your search. All right, so first of all, I want to start by asking you all to head to the comment section. Let me know where you're from, what type of roles you're looking for. I have thousands of recruiters, hiring managers, decision makers in my network. I have over 30,000, well, I have at 30,000 connections and almost 250,000 followers. There are tons of people in my network that are hiring, that are looking for people, recruiters that are actively commenting on my posts, that check out my content. And so there's a lot of opportunity for you to be seen by people who are doing hiring, but also connecting with people who are also job searching and might know about an opportunity in your field. So I really encourage you guys to connect in the comments, to share, and to help each other out if you can. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I usually run a survey once a year and try to survey my LinkedIn followers and my email subscribers to find out what are some of their biggest challenges, frustrations, and issues with using LinkedIn in their job search. And I usually hear the same things. I'm not getting responses from my applications. I've submitted X number of applications. For most people, it's in the hundreds. And I'm just not getting responses to those applications. Another common complaint is ghost jobs, scammers, fake job postings. One person called it zombie job postings. It's like these job postings that keep coming back from the dead. You see them every 90 days and they're just reposted over and over again. Another complaint or frustration I hear often is the high number of applicants that you see. Once you find a job that you like on LinkedIn, you might see hundreds or thousands of people have already applied for that role. And then another common frustration is when you're trying to connect and message people in your network, not getting responses to those messages. And so those are some of the complaints and frustrations that I hear from job seekers. So if you're in that camp, if you're not getting responses from your applications or from your messages, if you're seeing a lot of ghost jobs or applying to jobs and not getting responses, and you're feeling a little overwhelmed by the number of applications, you're not alone. Please feel free to share your frustrations and challenges in the comments. If I can, I will definitely get to those and address those on today's live. My intent is to spend about 20 to 25 minutes teaching you some of the strategies that I know work best, and then to do a Q&A at the end where I can spend some time answering your questions and see if I can offer some more personalized help. All right, so two of the biggest mistakes that I see on a regular basis with job seekers who are using LinkedIn in their job search. One is that they're either using it as a resume placeholder, so a place to keep their online resume only, or they're using it as a job board like it's Indeed. And so there's a couple of reasons why this doesn't work. First, if you're using LinkedIn as an online resume, you need to know that 9 out of 10 employers are using LinkedIn in their hiring process, and that's not job postings as part of how they're using LinkedIn in their job search process or in their hiring process. You also need to know there's 2.8 million recruiters who are on LinkedIn daily, every single day, searching for candidates. They're searching for the right people, not just any people, the right people. So if you're using your LinkedIn profile as an online resume, you have your employment dates and your job titles in there. but not much else, and your profile's not optimized, then you're missing two critical areas. One, the reason why they're using LinkedIn in the hiring process, because they want to find out more information about you than what's just on your resume. And two, the recruiters that are there are searching for you, but they can't find you because your profile's not optimized for searches. So if you're just using job titles, dates, and not giving details, you're selling yourself short and you're making it really hard for employers to choose you to interview and for recruiters to reach out to you. Secondly, if you're using LinkedIn as a job board only, which is where I think the majority of job seekers fall, I'd say 90% or better, you're probably incredibly frustrated with the results that you're seeing because 25 million job seekers are on LinkedIn every week applying to jobs and searching for jobs. More than 80% of job seekers use LinkedIn as their primary job board, their primary avenue and method for job searching. They're not using anything else. Or if they are using other things, LinkedIn is making up the majority of their techniques and methods that they're using in their job search. So that means you're going to LinkedIn's job tab and you're applying to jobs either with Easy Apply, or you're clicking the apply button, but you're scrolling the jobs tab to see what's listed there. That's what I'm talking about. LinkedIn has an incredibly high number of applications that they are processing on a daily and a quarterly basis. In Hunter's job search trends report for the last quarter of last year, just the members who were using Hunter to organize their job search and track their applications had hundreds of thousands of applications. Okay, that's not even the broader spectrum because most of us don't use Hunter to track our job search. They had already processed over like 114,000 applications in one quarter. I was doing the research before this live to look it up, and I saw some that said 43 million applications that they're processing on a monthly and or quarterly basis. So it's insanely high. And that's one of the reasons why it makes it so hard for you to get a response when you apply to jobs on LinkedIn. And that doesn't mean LinkedIn doesn't work or that you can't apply to jobs. It's just that it's so inundated, it makes it really hard for hiring managers to find you in the application pile. And we're going to talk about some ways that you can increase the chances that you'll get noticed. But I also think it's worth sharing with you that recruiters are starting to pull back from posting jobs on LinkedIn because they are getting so inundated with applications. It's becoming really hard for them to wade through the massive amounts of applications to find the kind of qualified candidates that they need. And I've seen estimates anywhere from 50 to 65% of recruiters are now not even posting jobs on the jobs tab anymore because of the amount of applications that they're seeing. And instead they're sourcing using LinkedIn like a giant candidate database. So either on the recruiter side, let's say they have a subscription to LinkedIn Recruiter, they're paying for a seat. If they're a large like Fortune 500 company and they have the budget to do that, they're going into LinkedIn Recruiter. They're using it to search based on different filters like skills, keywords, job titles, employment dates, education, all different kinds of things they're using to search. Well, if your profile isn't optimized for those things, they can't find you at all. They're just not able to locate your profile. And so that's one way. The other way is, let's say it's a smaller company that's not paying for a LinkedIn Recruiter seat. And a lot of recruiters don't because it costs thousands of dollars. They're just going to go to the LinkedIn search bar. They're going to have a premium subscription probably, and they're going to run searches. And all the different parameters that they're searching for are how they're going to be able to find you. And that's how you attract attention from legitimate recruiters. And I really feel like I have to say legitimate recruiters right now because there's so many scams going around. And I will just say this, if you get contacted by a recruiter and their profile looks legitimate, it has like an actual company name and a history, and they contact you about a role, and then they immediately try to refer you to a resume writer offline for you to get your resume updated according to their standards so they can submit you for a role, that's probably a scam. Because I've had this happen to me where a lot of scammers have hacked legitimate recruiter profiles, used that to contact job seekers, and then sent them to someone that was imitating me, my signature, my headshot, my LinkedIn profile, to scam them, to get them to pay for resume services. And then once they get their resume updated, the person disappears and the communication about the job stops. So if that happens to you, report it to LinkedIn. I've worked with LinkedIn's trust and safety team. They're aware that it's happening. And they have like all of these parameters now and AI set up to help filter that out, but they can't always catch someone. So if that happens, please report that to LinkedIn so that they can check into that. But back to what I was saying before, one of the reasons why we don't get a lot of responses from our applications to jobs on LinkedIn is because they're so inundated. LinkedIn has about a 3.3% application to interview conversion rate. And it's very low. LinkedIn and Indeed run about the same compared to somewhere like Google Jobs, where it has an 11% response rate. And that's because when you go and you Google a specific job title and location, it's aggregating and pulling jobs from company career pages, not necessarily from job boards. And then when you apply via that channel, it's taking you direct to the company's website. And so one of the things I would advise you to do, which I'm kind of getting off track, I don't mean to jump around, but since I'm there, I'll go ahead and finish. One of the things I would advise you to do, if you see a job that you like on LinkedIn, try to go to the company website, their career page, and see if it's listed there and apply there, because there's much less competition. And we know from research that direct applications on company pages have a 46% higher like conversion rate from application to hire, as opposed to job boards in general, which have a 6% conversion rate of application to hire. And that's general, not specific to LinkedIn. But we do know from the research that Hunter has done that LinkedIn's conversion rate is about 3%, which is like incredibly, incredibly low. All right. So that doesn't mean that you can't use LinkedIn to find your next job. I want you to hear me on this. Part of what I do through my courses, through my LinkedIn content and my newsletter is teach you all the different ways that you can use LinkedIn to find your next job that don't involve applying to jobs on the jobs tab, or include other additional ways that you can do that. So let's dive into that really quick and start talking about a couple of the most effective ways that you can use LinkedIn to get your next job. The first one is, and this is the number one priority, I share this all the time. If you followed me for any length of time, you've probably heard me preach this over and over and over again. You have to optimize your profile for searches so that recruiters can find you. One of the ways is that you add accomplishments under each role on your LinkedIn profile, because a lot of job seekers just put the job title and the date, and they don't include any details. But you have to include details. Adding accomplishments under each role makes it 12 times more likely that a recruiter will reach out to you. Not just that, it lets your network know and your connections know what it is that you do, how you add value, what outcomes and results and achievements you created, which makes it easier for them to recommend you. It makes it easier for them to reach out to you about a role. So definitely make sure that you've got your accomplishments filled out. Also, a lot of you may already have this. There's a couple of people, I'm looking at the comments, that when their name pops up, they don't have a picture. And so what I want to say to that is you have to have a professional photo on your LinkedIn profile, because if you don't, people will not accept your connection request and recruiters will not reach out to you. By adding a professional photo, we're talking about 80% up here, only you in the picture, no one else in there, no pets in there. You're doing like a professional headshot. your connection requests are 9 times more likely to be accepted, and you're 26 times more likely to be contacted by a recruiter on LinkedIn. And if you guys are wondering about these stats, unless I state otherwise, every single one of these data points comes direct from LinkedIn. They're research data points that I've gotten from them over the years. A lot of it comes from recent material that they've published through Social Impact or in trainings that they've done for top voices like me. So all this data is coming direct from LinkedIn. All right, so we talked about adding accomplishments to your profile. We talked about adding a professional photo. Let's talk about adding skills to your profile. When I say add skills to your profile, I mean high priority hard skills, not soft skills. Recruiters do not run searches based on soft skills. They run them based on professional, academic, and technical skills that are required for the role that they're trying to fill. And so your job is to take a couple of job descriptions that fit the mold for your target job. You want to either scan them yourself or input them into an AI like Gemini or ChatGPT and say, pull out the most high priority hard skills in these 5 job descriptions and give me a list in order of priority from most mentioned to least mentioned. Make sure that you're only looking for hard skills, not soft skills. It's going to aggregate a list for you. That list of skills must be on your LinkedIn profile. You can add it to your headline. You can add the skills to your about section. I recommend adding 5 to 10 of them there. You can attach them to specific roles. This gives recruiters context of when and how you use those skills. And the rest of them you can add to your skills section because you can add up to 100 skills to your profile. And I recommend that you do because job seekers with at least 5 skills on their profile are 27 times more likely to be discovered and contacted by a recruiter about an opportunity. And this bears out because when my husband was in a job search, and I tell this story all the time because it really just hits the point home. One of the very first things I did was update his LinkedIn profile and add skills relevant to the role that he was targeting. He was making a career transition from a decade of entrepreneurship into nonprofit management. And we had to focus on what skills were transferable from what he used to do to what it is that he wants to do now. When we updated the skills, he got an 8,500% increase in profile views from recruiters, hiring managers, and connections in the industry that he was trying to target. This bears out. I've used it repeatedly with more than 3,500 LinkedIn Unlocked students. I've had one student, Melissa, got a 1,277% increase. Another student, Jason, got a 2,000% increase. I've had students get up to a 12,000% boost in their profiles, in their profile views from legitimate connections and recruiters just from this one strategy, never mind the other 2 that I told you about. So really make sure that you're adding the right skills for what it is that you want to do, your target role. That's really important. I talk a lot in my teaching material and in my LinkedIn posts about making sure that you have a specific role that you're targeting so that everything you do is optimizing for that specific role. All right, let's talk about a couple of other strategies. I know I said, optimizing your profile is number 1. I share a lot more ways to optimize your profile inside my LinkedIn Unlocked course. But for today, I also want to cover some other strategies in addition to optimizing your profile. The next one is commenting and engaging. LinkedIn tells us that when you comment on posts, and I'm talking about like helpful, here's my experience, here's what worked for me, here's what I also think, adding to the conversation type comments. When you add comments like that, you get 4 times more profile views, recruiter outreach, and interviews and offers. I've taught this strategy to my LinkedIn Unlocked students, and when they implement it, they get interviews and job offers. One of my clients, Karen, is a communications executive. When she started doing this daily, she got 3 interviews, 2 job offers, and accepted her most recent role. Then another client of mine, Manly, he was an IT manager. He did the same thing, started commenting on other IT posts, and a recruiter saw it, contacted him, reached out. That's how he got his recent role. It's a recurring theme. So when you're engaging and you're adding value in the comments, you're not just saying this is great or thanks for sharing or I love this. You're actually adding to the conversation. Recruiters, hiring managers, and employers see it. They see your expertise, they see your thought leadership, and then they reach out to you about opportunities. So that's the other one. The next one is I want you to leverage some of LinkedIn's really important features that will spotlight your profile to recruiters. I cover more than 7 of these in my course, but I'm going to give you 3 of them, and then there's 7 more inside the course. But one of them is just hitting the I'm interested button on the company page. It's so simple to do. You have your list of target companies. You go to their company page on LinkedIn, you click the About section, and in that section, you're going to see a little gray section on the About tab that says, I'm interested. And there's a little button, and you just click the I'm interested button, and it alerts the recruiter on the back end that you're interested in roles inside that company. It also makes it 2 times as likely that you're going to get a message from a recruiter about a role within that company. And also, when let's say you went to, let's say I wanted to work for Nemours, which is a huge children's hospital here where I work. And I went to Nemours page and I clicked the I'm interested button. Well, now when I see a job that Nemours has posted on LinkedIn and I apply, it's going to spotlight my application to recruiters on the back end, and it's going to alert them that if they reach out to me about a role, I'm more likely to respond. It's going to ping several different spotlights to say, hey, she's highly likely to respond. Hey, she's interested in this role. Hey, she's a top applicant. And what we want to do when we do apply to jobs on LinkedIn is make sure that we have those spotlights on our application so that recruiters are more likely to view our application as opposed to, all the masses of other people that have applied. All right, so make sure you're doing that. Second of all, you want to turn on in your settings under job seeking preferences. You want to turn on your share resume with all recruiters tool. You just want to toggle that feature on. We do that because once you turn that feature on, any resumes that you've uploaded to LinkedIn, now when recruiters run searches, it'll pull any skills, job titles, and experiences on your resume. It'll pull those into the recruiter searches. And it'll say, let's say I'm a recruiter and I search for project management and you have project management listed on your resume that's uploaded to LinkedIn. Well, it's going to tell me when it gives me my search results, hey, this person has project management listed on their LinkedIn profile and it's in their resume. So it positions you as a better fit for the role. And everything we want to do is position ourselves as the best fit for the role. Because when recruiters are scrolling through candidates that have applied to jobs, it allows them to rank the candidates. This person is a fit, is not a fit, or might be a fit. And so what you want to do on your end is optimize everything you can with your application that signals to that recruiter, hey, I'm a really good fit for this role. All right. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't share this because I know not everyone has LinkedIn Premium, but there are a lot of you that pay for Premium. So I do want to share this strategy. If you have LinkedIn Premium, there is a top choice badge that you can add to 3 applications a month, and you want to save it for the top 3 jobs. So let's say that you are applying for, however many roles, and 3 of them you're like, man, these are my dream job. Excuse me. I would love to have these positions at this company. Like, this is it for me. You can mark that job as a top choice, and it's going to give you a little box to explain why is this job a top choice. In that box, you want to talk about how not just your experiences and skills align, but also talk about how there's a values or a culture alignment. We know that when a candidate mentions a connection in values between like what they value and what the company values, or their personal mission and purpose and the company's mission and purpose, when they connect those dots, they're 50% more likely to get the interview. That came out of the University of Michigan study several years ago, that when you mention that common values alignment, you're more likely to get the interview. So use that little box to share that information. If you do that, you are 43% more likely. Just turning on the badge makes it 43% more likely that you'll get a response from a recruiter for that application. So I know I'm throwing a lot of data at you guys today, but it's because I want you to see that the research and the numbers back up the strategies that I'm sharing with you. Like there's actual research behind every single thing I'm giving you. And when you employ multiple of these strategies, they all compound and they multiply so that you're even more likely to get the responses from recruiters. All right. Before we head into the Q&A section, I want to talk for a minute and just tell you about my LinkedIn Unlocked course. If you're interested in learning more about how to leverage LinkedIn in your job search, this course is for you. Inside this course, I walk you through how to optimize every section of your LinkedIn profile for recruiter searches, how to attract attention from legitimate recruiters. Like I said, not scammers. It's not that it's going to eliminate you getting contacted by scammers. It's just that it's going to increase the likelihood that you're going to attract attention from legitimate recruiters for the right roles that you want to target. I teach you hacks for finding the hiring manager, even when they are not listed on the job posting. I walk you through multiple ways to find out who the hiring manager and the decision maker is. I also teach you how to find hidden jobs that are not posted on the jobs tab so that you can skip that really long line of competition and the just massive applicants that are coming in. I teach you how to find other ways to find those hidden jobs, whether it's via status updates or running searches or talking with your network. Just there's a lot of different ways that you can find jobs on LinkedIn that have nothing to do with applying on the jobs tab. I also talk about better ways to message hiring managers, decision makers, and your connections. I give you scripts and templates for messaging them, and also teach you how to do cold outreach right. A lot of job seekers are frustrated that they send messages to people inside their target companies and they don't get responses. I talk about how to know that you're messaging the right person, what to say when you're messaging them, and how to triple the response rate that you'll get when you're messaging them. And I go over so much more inside the course, but those are just some of the highlights that align to some of the biggest frustrations that I hear from job seekers. My course opened today, and if you're on this live, you can use the code LIVE70 to get $70 off the course, and that code is good for 24 hours at the URL that I have put on the screen. So if you're interested in learning more about how to better leverage LinkedIn, I encourage you to check out that course and see if it's a good fit for you. All right, I want to jump into some of your questions because I know a lot of you have challenges and frustrations with LinkedIn. You need specialized help. So if you want to drop your questions into the chat, I'll take a few minutes to answer some of the questions. Okay, here's a really good one. I have a lot of people that say, should I use the open to work banner? It used to be like 4 or 5 years ago, I would tell job seekers, absolutely turn on the open to work banner, the green one, because we know that if you do, you're 40% more likely to get contacted by a recruiter about an opening. However, over the last year, there has been a exceptional increase in the amount of scammers targeting people who turn on the open to work banner. And from what we've learned, it's usually the first 2 weeks after you turn the banner on, you get a massive influx of scammers reaching out to you or commenting on your posts or comments that you leave on other people's posts. So I would say You can use the banner and turn it on, but you're going to have to be very wary of outreach that you get. You're going to have to realize that it is kind of like turning on a bat signal to scammers. But usually, from what my clients have found, after about the first 2 weeks, that influx dies down and then they start getting more messages from legitimate recruiters. So you're going to have to, um, I don't know, really have your wits about you if you go that route. All right, let's see. Do you know how long the signal lasts? Is it automated to last 1 month? Or if we're talking about the top choice badge or the spotlights, the top choice badge, you can pick 3 per month. So I would think at the end of the month it would reset. And then as far as the recruiter spotlight signals, those stay on your profile. Oh, someone asked if they can get a replay of this. Yes, there is a replay available. If you come back to the same LinkedIn event page, then you can watch the full replay. So you can watch the whole first half where I kind of like flew through all of those strategies. I've heard that replies through company websites get better results. Yes, they do. You have a much higher application to hire conversion rate if you apply direct on the company website. It's also a way to verify that a job is not a fake job posting because a lot of companies will just keep jobs open to fill their candidate pipeline, to see what's going on in the market, who's making moves, to gather competitive intelligence. So if you see a job that you really like on LinkedIn, I would say go to the company website and see if it's listed there and apply direct. To take advantage of the I'm interested feature, do we need to apply through LinkedIn rather than the company's website? Yes. For that spotlight to show up on your profile, you would need to click the I'm interested button on LinkedIn. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't, if you apply on the company website, you don't get that perk, because what we know is that 9 out of 10 employers are going to view your application and then head to LinkedIn to find out more about you. And so when that recruiter or hiring manager goes to LinkedIn to find out more information about you, they're going to see the spotlight. Hey, this person's interested in roles at our company. They're more likely to respond to me. Okay, let's see. Oh, Noelle said, I already have the course. How often is it refreshed with new information? I update it at least annually, usually in the spring before the new course launches, with all the new changes and updates that are on LinkedIn, like everything that's happening or new strategies and things like that. It gets updated annually. And if you're already a course student, you get access to that and all of the updates that come with it, as well as any Q&As that we do for students during the course, that I do for students during the course of the year. All right, taking in order. Oh, yeah, I get that about the empty image frame. What I would do is put in parentheses where you have that position listed on your profile that the company closed and that it's no longer in operation. And that helps explain to recruiters looking at your profile why there's an empty frame there. All right. Oh, okay. Here we go. What's the link for the course? Here's the link for the course. It's greatresumesfast.com/LinkedIn dash unlocked. And then don't forget to use the code LIVE70 for $70 off of the course. That's only good for people that are on this live. That is not open to everyone else. And it's only good for 24 hours. Okay, I know this isn't LinkedIn related, but I'm going to answer this. AI optimization for a resume, yes or no? Do not use AI to write your resume, because recruiters are literally reading hundreds of AI written resumes and they know AI speech. Just like how if you see a post on Facebook or LinkedIn and it looks like AI wrote it. Like you can tell, right? Because it doesn't sound like someone just naturally speaking or writing as they speak. Recruiters have that same like spidey sense of resumes written by AI. And believe it or not, research shows that they are more likely to reject you if they believe that AI wrote your resume. And I know that's unfair because if they're using AI in the hiring process, why can't you use AI for your resume? But they also know that AI is not always factual and likes to make up information to fill in the blanks for your resume. And so it causes them to doubt the authenticity of your resume and what you've shared. So if you're going to use AI in your job search, use it for research to find target companies, to get more information about companies. Use it, like I said earlier, to scan the job postings to identify the hard skills that are most relevant for your target roles. Use it to identify gaps between the job posting and the resume to see what might be missing that you can add. But you need to be the one writing your story and telling your story. Do not rely on AI to do that because it likes to make up stories and fill in information. All right, let's see. If your job was eliminated, should you put an end date or keep it as present? It depends how long ago it was eliminated. The general rule of thumb is if it's been more than 30 days, you want to go ahead and uh, show it as ended. Now, there's a couple of caveats and workarounds to that, depending on your unique situation. If you have years, you can just leave years and show that the position is good through 2026. So, okay. Can you effectively network on LinkedIn without using premium? Absolutely, you can if you're strategic about how you use the limited number of messages that you have. It's going to require you to build your network size in a very strategic and targeted way. So, looking for connections inside your target companies, looking at alumni who work for your target companies, all different kinds of things like that. You can, yes, you do not have to have premium. And inside my course that I share, everything I share inside that course is based off how to use the regular version of LinkedIn. There are a few added things that you can use or do if you have premium, but the entire course is built for job seekers that are not paying the extra money for premium. All right, let's see. What is a recruiter spotlight signal? Okay, so LinkedIn has a recruiter dashboard platform that recruiters pay money for to be able to use it as a talent management platform and database. And it's called LinkedIn Recruiter, or they have a LinkedIn Recruiter Lite, which is like a basic version of it. And recruiters use it to search and find candidates, to manage applications, to post jobs, all of the things that are part of the hiring process. So on the back end, they can see all kinds of information about you. And I break this down inside the course, like what they can see, what that means, how to add spotlights to your profile. And it's basically how all the different ways that LinkedIn is signaling to the recruiter whether you are or are not a fit for that role. And so all of these spotlights are saying to them, like, yes, you have the skills, or no, you don't have the skills. Yes, you have the experience, or no, you don't have the experience. Yes, you're interested in the company. Yes, you're active on LinkedIn. Yes, based on our algorithm, there is a very high likelihood that if you contact this candidate, they'll respond to you. What a lot of job seekers don't realize is just like we have a limited number of in-mail messages and a limited number of messages that we can send out to anyone on LinkedIn, recruiters do as well. They don't have an unlimited supply of messages that they can send candidates. It's very limited. I don't know what the exact number is today, but the last time I checked, it was around 30 to 45, depending on the level of recruiter seat that you had. And so, what recruiters want to do is make sure when they reach out to a candidate, they're reaching out to a candidate that's going to respond and not ghost them. And a lot of times we think ghosting, if someone doesn't respond, they're ghosting me. But with LinkedIn, not everyone is on the platform all the time. That goes for recruiters and job seekers. A lot of people don't ever log into LinkedIn unless they're job searching. So if a recruiter is trying to contact a candidate, but they're not active on LinkedIn, then they're wasting that message because that person is never going to see and respond to it. So to combat that and to help recruiters, LinkedIn gives them all of these signals that says, hey, this person is highly likely to respond if you reach out to them. And what we want to do as job seekers is optimize our profile and leverage every single one of the spotlights that we can so that your application and your profile says to that recruiter, hey, if you message me about this job, I will respond to you. And not only that, but I am a very good fit for this role. I have the experience for it, I have the skills for it, and I have the desire for it. And that's what we want to communicate. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. So, Amy, I've actually had this conversation with a lot of recruiters lately. One of them was complaining because he contacted a job seeker about a job and wanted the job seeker to send his resume over. But he did not want to share the job description or any information about the job with the candidate. And the job seeker was like, well, I'm not sending you my resume then because of this. He's wary, right? Because it could be scammers. When you send them your resume, you're giving them a lot of information, your full name, your email address, your city, state, and zip code. Hopefully your street address is not on your resume. Because we just don't want scammers to have that amount of information. And we also want to avoid ageism because recruiters can Google where certain street addresses are. So, there's just lots of reasons for why we don't do that. And I commented on his post and I said, listen, I would not advise a job seeker to just shoot off their resume to you if you're not providing them with any information about the role, because what guarantee do they have that it's a legitimate role? And he was like, oh, I didn't really think about that. And so I think there are recruiters that are aware that job seekers are wary in doing their due diligence to keep themselves safe. But I also think there's other recruiters that are not as aware. And so, if a recruiter is contacting you and they're saying, hey, can you send me your resume? And they haven't shared any information with you about the role at all, I would just say, you know what? I'm happy to do that. But because there's so many scams out there and so many people scamming, I would feel more comfortable and I'd prefer if you sent me the job description, information on the position, anything that you have that you're comfortable sharing. Please send that to me so that I have some kind of reassurance that this is a legitimate role. I would also be looking at their profile to see if they have the verified badge. Because on LinkedIn, you have to have a government issued ID to have the verified badge on your profile. And I would feel more comfortable connecting with someone if they had that badge. Is there a true notable impact to premium on LinkedIn? Honest answer, please. Absolutely, yes. When my husband started his job search, the very first thing I did was get him the free trial of LinkedIn Premium, so that we could take advantage of all the insights and the background data about the companies and the positions and everything that he was targeting. Also, if you're a veteran, you can get a couple of months of LinkedIn Premium for free on socialimpact.linkedin.com. So check that out if you're a veteran. Jessica, do you take on individual clients? I am not working with any one-on-one clients right now, but I do all of my teaching through my courses. So I have the LinkedIn Unlocked course, which is specific job search related material. I also have a rapid response job search techniques course, which is all about the strategies that are working right now in this really hard job market. And then we do have our one-on-one resume writing services. Okay, let's see. Oh, Hannah, thank you so much for being on and helping. You're so thoughtful. I really appreciate that. Okay. How do you effectively network through LinkedIn in a way that gets responses? I sent almost 50 connection requests with personalized messages about why I'm reaching out, and they're just sitting there. Okay, so a lot of this depends on the ask that you're making and whether you're reaching out again to someone that is active on LinkedIn or someone who hasn't been on LinkedIn in months. And if you're making a really big ask in your first message, people get super overwhelmed and they either don't have the time or they don't know how to respond to that. And if they don't, then they won't. And so keep it simple and mention as many common points of connection as you can. Go to their profile, make sure they're active, see if they've posted anything or if they've commented on anything. If there's been no activity on their profile for 9+ months, find someone else because this person is not on LinkedIn and they are not actively engaging, so they're not going to respond to you. A lot of times when job seekers are frustrated that they're not getting responses to their messages, it's because they're messaging people that aren't on the platform. Not everybody's on the platform every day, every week, every month, or even every year. And so you have to be really strategic and make sure that you're reaching out to people that are online, that are commenting and posting and are active. So that would be the first thing I would look at. And the second thing is I would look at, what am I saying in my messages? Am I making it all about me? Am I asking for a job right off the bat? Am I asking for a referral right off the bat? Or am I saying, hey, I saw that you also went to the University of North Florida and studied human resources and you're in the Jacksonville area. I'd love to connect with a fellow Jacksonville alum. Hey, go Ospreys. All right, now I've mentioned 3 common points of connection to someone that's active on LinkedIn inside my target industry and company and or role. That person is way more likely to reach back out to me and respond to my message because we share so much stuff in common. All right, let's see. This is such a fun question. So there's a lot of my colleagues that use AI for headshots, and that's great, and that works for them. And I think it's preference. I personally think that people are becoming leery or wary of AI, and that it almost carries a somewhat inauthentic note to it. And it's almost like you can tell, when you look at certain pictures, you can tell that they've been AI generated. And I guess it's because I'm a personal brand strategist, but I always have found value in leading with authenticity. So if you're asking for my personal opinion and preference, I think you get legitimate, like professional headshots done versus using AI, unless you can find or get AI pictures made that are so real, even your family can't tell that they're AI. Because what I have found is that if you give your kids or your spouse a group of pictures of you and you say, okay, which one of these looks most like me? They're going to pick the natural picture of you and they're going to tell you the AI generated ones are fake because they're so used to seeing you all the time. So I would say use them as a filter if you do want to use an AI software program to polish your headshot. Send it to some people who are around you day in and day out and know you and say, which one of these looks most like me? And can you tell the difference? And someone who sees you all the time will help you pick the most authentic picture that looks the most like you. All right. Honest thoughts on AI. Oh, I could do a whole LinkedIn live on AI. I'll just keep it really short. AI for research, fantastic. AI for writing, terrible. It is not going to tell your story in a way that sounds natural and conveys your true depth of experience. It's not able to interview you, to draw out the information about yourself that even you can't see or don't realize is valuable. It can only work with the information that you give it. And what I have found after all of these years of working with job seekers is that we are so close to our experience. We are so close to what we do and what it is that we want to do, that it's really hard to see the forest for the trees. And we have a hard time being objective and doing ourselves justice. So I think there is immense value. And I know it's easy for me to say this because I'm a career coach and it's what I do. But even I do this. Like if I want to make updates to my LinkedIn profile to my website copy, anything like that, I always get an outside third party perspective to get help because someone else who is not so close to it can see things that I can't see. And so I want their context, their perspective to help me see things that I can't see. All right. Someone also asked how much is the course. The course is regularly $197, but with the Live 70 code, it's obviously $70 off, so you get it for $127. And then also there's like pay as you go options. So if you wanted to split it up into smaller payments, if that's easier for you, you can absolutely do that. Top 5 job portals recruiters go to search relevant candidates. LinkedIn. Recruiters are on LinkedIn. 2.8 million searching daily. Employers are here trying to check up on your resume and your application to find out more information about you. All right, let's see how much. This is where did it go? Okay, this is a great question, Allison. I personally prefer to write, and this is how my team and I do LinkedIn profiles. We write them in first person narrative because your LinkedIn profile is your digital handshake and you're trying to make a connection with your network, with hiring managers, and with recruiters. So I always advise you to write in first person, to tell your career story, and to highlight your accomplishments. I typically do not advise that we copy and paste your resume into your LinkedIn profile because, again, recruiters are going to your profile to find out more about you. So we want to expand on that story. We want to tell them, here's why I'm in this industry. Here's what I value. Here's how I add, here's how I make the company better. All of these different things. We want your LinkedIn profile to give them a bigger, fuller picture of who you are as a candidate and not just be a copy paste of your resume. So I would say fill out as many details and accomplishments as are relevant to your target role and will help better tell your story. Do you value focusing on optimizing your about section, profile, headline, or both? All of the above. In my course, I go through every single section of your profile and talk about how to optimize it for searches so that you can be found by recruiters. And every single one of those sections needs to be optimized so that you show up in searches. You can absolutely apply on both the LinkedIn and company page. There's nothing wrong with that. Should your LinkedIn profile? Yes. Okay, so I just talked about that. It should be different. And it's because we want to make a personal connection. Right. Age discrimination. Should we post jobs that are more than 10 years old? You can go back 10 to 15 years. I would not go back more than that. And I also would not add a date to the education section on your LinkedIn profile because that will open you up for discrimination. And for those of you who have been at this for a while, you know that if you do not include a date under education and a recruiter searches by date, they may not find your profile. It may not pull up. The workaround hack to that is to list a recent certification, credential, or professional development that you've completed and include that date. Anything within the last 3 years is perfectly fine. Then there's a date added to your education section so that if a recruiter clicks graduation date as a filter for that section, your profile will pull up. All right, let's see. When you upload your resume, it won't cancel out or delete anything else, correct? No. It does not undo anything in your profile. It basically just adds almost like a PDF or a Word document to your profile of your resume that recruiters can see when you apply, but also can search when they're running searches. Okay, Kelly, job descriptions are often written by AI. They all use the same phrases. This is a really good point. And one of the ways that you can work around this is to pull job descriptions for similar job titles from multiple different places and then take all of those job descriptions and copy and paste them into AI and ask it to pull up the keywords and the hard skills the most commonly repeated phrases. And that will give you a bigger picture of what words, phrases, and skills are being repeated over and over again so that you can make sure that you're using the right ones in your resume. All right, let's see. What about AI help with cover letters? Yeah, I wouldn't do that either because it's the same thing as going online and Googling a cover letter template. They all say the same thing. To whom it may concern, please accept my resume in response to the job that you posted on LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever. And that's why cover letters don't get read. They don't get read because they all say the same thing, and recruiters are looking at hundreds of them every day, and they don't want to see the same thing over and over and over again. So what you have to do is essentially stop the scroll. You have to stop the skim by disrupting how they're reading. That means you can't say the same thing everyone else is saying. And the thing about AI is it eventually all gravitates towards the middle, and it's saying all the same thing. So I'll give you an example. There is an AI tool called Stanley that analyzes your LinkedIn posts and will then write something in your voice for you for LinkedIn. However, the first couple of posts are written based on what you wrote before. That was actually in your voice and your writing. But once it starts writing for you, and then it pulls the information that it wrote for you into its calculations of writing new content, all that new content starts to sound more and more like AI because it's gravitating more towards that language that is commonly used in AI. And I know that's a little like, whoa, out there. How does that have to do with resumes and cover letters and stuff? But the point I'm trying to make is that unless you are using incredibly specific prompts with incredibly strict parameters, it's going to reuse the same language that is spitting out for everyone else. Then you're sounding like everyone else. And that kind of defeats the purpose of personal branding, of job searching. And I think this is really one of the major contributing factors to why it's taking job seekers so long to get interviews and land. Yes, the market isn't the greatest right now, but it's really hard for hiring managers and recruiters to tell the difference between candidates when everyone sounds exactly the same. And your goal, just like in marketing, is to stand out and to not sound like everyone else. And that's really, really important. So if you are using AI for writing, it is almost impossible to not sound like everyone else who's using AI for writing. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can find one more question to answer live, and then a couple of different things. If you've made it this far, thank you. I know you're like super serious about leveraging LinkedIn in your job search. If you've made it all the way to the end of the hour, because I've been talking for an hour about LinkedIn and job search. So if you're serious and you want to learn more, I really encourage you to check out my course. I cover like every different aspect. There's over 50 different features, tools, best practices you can use to leverage LinkedIn in your job search. So I really encourage you to check that out if you want to know more about how to leverage it. If you have questions that I didn't get a chance to answer live, I'm going to hang around after the show in the comments section and do my best to answer as many comments as I can over the next day or two for those that I didn't get a chance to answer on the live. And then also, you can always come back to this event page on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or StreamYard, wherever you're watching, to rewatch the replay. Let's see. I hear good and bad about posting I'm open to opportunities. Does it make me look desperate? No, it does not make you look desperate unless the message that you post with your posting sounds desperate. When you post that you're open to work, you want to focus on the value that you add, the skills that you bring to the table, and the exact job titles that you're looking for. And even better, if you can share a couple of target companies that represent the type of organizations that you are really looking to work for. And the reason why we want to share that information in an open to work or open opportunities post is because it helps our network to know what kind of roles that we're looking for. So when they hear of something in that company or with that job title or using those skills, or when they hear someone says, "Hey, I need somebody who does XYZ. Do you know anyone?" Then they can point back to you and say, "Oh, yes, I know Mike does that, and he's looking for an opportunity with so and so company." And so you want to give your network information that's going to help them help you. So if it's a long biography or it's kind of like this emotional plea, it might get a lot of shares because people resonate with the emotion, but you're not going to get as a big of an impact or as much help as you would get if you focused on your target job titles, your skills, the value that you add, the achievements, the things that you want to do to help certain companies. All right, so now that I've shared all of that, I ask you guys to please share this event to your LinkedIn page with a couple of points. If you found this helpful, share it with something that you learned or that stood out to you or that was helpful to you so that other job seekers who maybe didn't get access to the live or who are in your network can see it and they can get the same help. I shared a lot of information, I know, so it's helpful to be able to go back and watch the replay. But if you guys don't mind sharing this event on LinkedIn with your network and just adding a point or two about what you learned or something that stood out with you, I would really appreciate that. And then again, here's the information for my LinkedIn Unlocked course. For the next 24 hours, you can get $70 off if you use the code LIVE70. The course opens today. It closes next Tuesday. I only leave it open for a week. I usually max out on the number of students that sign up. And I have to keep it small because we end up doing another LinkedIn Live Q&A, and I want to be able to support everyone that's inside of the course with their questions and challenges as they're going through it. So like I said, if you're interested in learning more about LinkedIn, you're serious about leveraging all the tools, features, best practices, finding the hidden jobs, learning a better way to message hiring managers and connections so you get responses, this course is the course for you. All right. I hope this has been helpful to you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I always love to talk about LinkedIn and teach all of these fun strategies. It's truly a passion of mine. So I'm so thankful that you joined me today. And I look forward to seeing you guys for the next one. Have a great rest of your day.